See you.
No, we can't see you.
Welcome to our BIBLIO Squad live show for Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Nina, you okay?
Woo!
Yeah, I think my camera stopped working. I'll figure it out. Just ignore me for now.
Oh, good. It was just at the most awkward time. But yeah, if you're joining us, use the hashtag Renegade Squad on Twitter, or you can comment on this live stream to join the discussion. Yeah, we cannot wait to discuss Renegades with you. I just heard some sudden noises, or maybe that's just me. Okay, guys, let's introduce ourselves.
Hi guys, I'm Kathleen and my channel is For the Love of Books. I loved this book and I've heard some negative reviews regarding this book and I don't know why. It was really good. It was definitely different from the Lunar Chronicles, but it's still Marissa Meyer and it was still really good. It was a bit long and honestly at one point I was feeling like I was reading a Sarah J. Maas book where it's just too long and it was just, I was like, get to the point. But I enjoyed the book immensely and I did give it 5 stars and I can't wait for the next book.
Okay. Well, my name's Nina. My channel is Demigods Are Dauntless, and my camera decided to stop working like 2 minutes ago. So, I really loved this book. I'm a huge Marissa Meyer fan, so going in, I guess going in, I had mixed expectations because I wasn't the biggest fan of Heartless last year, but The Lunar Chronicles is one of my favorite series of all time. So this one, and I really enjoyed Renegades. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And I mean, it's superheroes and Marissa Meyer, so it was definitely a win for me. And I might briefly sign off to see if I can fix this camera issue. So I'll be back.
That's all good.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Jules from the channel Jules Reads, and I really enjoyed this book. I just finished it like super recently, like 10 minutes ago recently. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. You know, the premise was cool. And I love superheroes and I love Marissa Meyer. So I was like, hey, this can't be bad. And I have the really cool Target edition. So if you don't have this book, get it from Target.
Not Australian Target. That Australian Target does not have it. And it's devastating.
Grace is jealous.
I know. I'm so jealous.
You're just salty.
I'm very salty. Very, very. Is this salt real? Yes, it's real. Oh my goodness, I'm referencing a meme that nobody talks about. Anyway, hi guys, I'm Grace, and I'm from the channel G-Swizzel Books, the channel you are currently on to watch this live show. And I also loved Renegades. I was expecting to love this book because I love Marissa Meyer and I love superheroes. So that was a good combination, but then there were some very early reviews with people that had the arcs and stuff. I feel like superheroes and YA, like those two don't really go together because you've got the comic book readers, people that are actually like really into superheroes, or maybe the comic book movie watchers, but people don't actually like see YA and superheroes as something that can be put together, but I think that they work together perfectly. And so when I found out that this was going to happen, I freaked out because superheroes and young adult fiction are like 2 of my favorite things ever. So I'm happy that this happened. And yeah, like it's nothing short of amazing in my eyes. Although I can see why a lot of people don't like it, I loved it. So there's that. And
how many stars did you? How many? What was the rating that you gave it?
That's my next point. So I'm going to be talking about our ratings. Did anybody mention their ratings yet?
Yeah, I
2.
it
I did. I did not yet, but
okay. What did you guys rate it?
I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it. It was good.
Yeah. 5 from Nina as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it. I just updated my status and I gave it 5 as well.
Okay, and that means that there's 4 5 out of 5 stars right now.
Woo! We finally found that book.
What a rate! Like
I don't think so.
It's like usually I don't think that have we ever had the same rating for
I
a
don't
book?
think so.
That's
But I think-
insane. I wasn't expecting that we'd all rate this 5 out of 5 stars because there are so many mixed opinions. Like I watched
Yeah.
2 reviews yesterday where they were 2 out of 5 stars. Like that's weird. And so the fact that we all gave this 5 out of 5 stars is amazing. And yeah. My next point is pretty much, oh yeah, actually, jokes. We will go into expectations, like I always mention, just like a given. So like, what were your expectations before going into this, and your reality after this book? Anyone?
For me, when I went into this book, I honestly didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what it was about because I didn't really look it up. I knew there was some things with superheroes, but otherwise, that's all I knew. And I was trying to like not think about this as a retelling because all Marissa Meyer has written in the past is pretty much retellings. So I was trying to distance myself from that so that it didn't kind of like hinder my reading experience of this book, and I really loved it. It was really good. I loved the world was just really just beautifully constructed, and the characters were really relatable, and I just really liked it. I went into this book not expecting to relate to the villains of the story, but I definitely did, and it's just like something that Marissa Meyer always does. She always makes me relate to the villains, I feel.
Yeah, like I kind of already touched on my expectations, like pretty high expectations because Marissa Meyer is amazing. And then superheroes. But like plot-wise, I didn't actually have too many expectations. Like I had no idea that we would be following a villain as the main person because like I never bothered to read the synopsis because I was just like Marissa Meyer, superheroes, I'm in. That's all I need to know. But yeah, so I would say my kind of expectations were kind of all over the place. So I really loved it. And I don't think that affected my reading too much.
I had pretty high expectations as well because I love Marissa Meyer. I liked Heartless, I liked Lunar Chronicles, even though I haven't finished it yet. But I still enjoyed it. And I like superheroes and I like Marissa Meyer, so I thought it was going to be really awesome, and it was, so yay.
Yeah, I could say similar things like you guys just said. When it comes to my expectations before going into it, they were pretty high after Heartless because I was really excited for Marissa Meyer to just write a new series because I did love Heartless, don't get me wrong. I think we discussed like Heartless last year for one of our BIBLIO shows. It was
I think it was November last year. Yeah, it was November
it
last
was
year.
exactly a year ago that we discussed Heartless, which was really cool. And I got to read an advance read a copy of that. So that was like really awesome. But I think, so I had high expectations for this one because Marissa Meyer was writing a new series. And if you guys don't know, The Lunar Chronicles is one of my favorite series of all time. So I'm like, oh my goodness, she's going to finally get into another series. Although this is a duology, and I'm kind of devastated about that because, like, I'd love more from this world. But yeah, I just had more expectations for that. But then again, when I saw people's ARC reviews for this book, not too many people were impressed. And so it was like, okay, maybe I should lower my expectations. And I think there are a lot of people that do those videos where, okay, so it's been a trend on BookTube lately where people have been predicting your next 5-star reads. And I personally don't want to fall into that trap because there are a lot of books that seem very popular. Like, for example, let's talk about Warcross. We talked about Warcross last week. I thought that it was going to be like one of my absolutely favorite books of the year. And there were parts that, like, as much as I loved the book, in some aspects, I was kind of let down in other aspects. And so I wish I didn't predict that it was going to be a 5 out of 5-star read when it was literally a 3.75 out of 5-star read for me. And so that's why I was skeptical to go into this. And I wasn't let down at all because it contained a lot of guilty pleasures as a superhero member. I am a sucker for superhero tropes. I'm a sucker for villain backstories and all that stuff. Like I can talk about all the stuff. Like it's the cheesiest thing ever. Some of the tropes are the cheesiest things ever, but I just everything about this book I just loved. So because of those tropes, if that makes sense. So I wasn't let down at all. But yeah. Okay. So being that this book really does make you question a lot of things, the point is, what was your stance on superheroes and anti-heroes? What was your stance on superheroes, anti-heroes, and villains previously, before reading this book, compared to your stance on them now?
I guess before, it's always the thinking that, you know, the heroes are always the good guys and the villains are the bad guys. And I feel like in this book, Marissa Meyer really drew the gray areas of both characters. Like, there's the scene where the Renegades went to the tunnels after the assassination attempt on the captain, and the way they treated the Renegades, I'm not gonna lie, it made my blood boil. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't care what they did in the past, that's not how you act, and you're supposed to be the good guys, you're supposed to be, you know, setting the example kind of thing. And I was mad. I was like so livid mad at that scene. And I just like Marissa Meyer, she just did such a good job at just drawing that gray area with these two characters, because we also do see the bad sides of the villains. They're not just like, we're seeing a lot of from their sides, and we're seeing a lot of how human it can be, but we also saw the bad side of them, you know, with the, I forgot her name, Detonator, who kind of ended up, she kind of did that. She killed the library guy, and I felt so bad for him. And I totally understood his stance on wanting to save the rare books. I totally would have done the same thing, but I just like it kind of like drew that gray area for me, and I'm just like, this book just, I don't know who to cheer for now. I don't know if I want the Renegades to win, and I don't know if I want the what are they called? The bad guys. I don't know. The anarchists. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm going into the second book kind of cheering, like low-key cheering for the anarchists, but I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I guess going before this book, like always pretty much cheering for villains. I'm not the villains for heroes. That's definitely like who I would normally choose. And like anti-heroes is kind of a trope or a situation that I also really enjoy. But yeah, same with Kathleen. Like, this book did such a good job of showing the gray areas of both of them.
Yeah.
Like, I kept going back and forth, like which side I wanted to like root for and win or kind of succeed the most. And I think that's like exactly what you need when you're telling the story. Like, if you're gonna have a point of view of a villain, you need to have them, give them a real motivation and something that people can relate to, and also show like the flaws of those heroes and show that they're not like these perfect people that are put up on a pedestal and all of that. And like other things, like it was interesting how when you like try out to be in the Renegades, it's literally just like one test and that's it. And I'm like, I was expecting these trials to be something more like, I don't know, like a Hunger Games or like a training period of like a few weeks, and like she has to make her way and infiltrate
like Divergent, like the Divergent training or something like that.
Yeah. And it was said like, oh, you just go in front of a stadium and like, we trust you completely now, which is probably not the best selection process.
I think it's because how big the Renegades have actually become, though. Because kids are literally like the prodigies, as from Nova's perspective, they've literally taken over the world, and so it's become so easy for them to accept more prodigies. Like, I feel like that's how I see it. Anyway, sorry, I've interrupted.
No, like, I was pretty much done anyway, but just seeing how, like, showing that as an example of how they can be morally gray, and like, if you have an organization that big, they can't all be perfect, really amazing people. So, like, showing that they shouldn't necessarily have that much power. I thought that was just like done really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. My stance on this was actually like I had already known about the gray area and stuff because I actually kind of like as a person who likes to write stories and stuff, I actually have written a few stories like that. So I had already like seen the side. I was like, oh, heroes can be morally corrupt and so can villains. So I like to write about that. So my stance on that was pretty obvious. I was like, I was expecting Nova to be a hero because it just sounds like a hero. Like her actual name sounds like a hero name, but she was a villain. So that was kind of a.
Yeah, there's a Nova in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, they're coming out with a movie for him soon.
I know. I'm really excited for that. Oh man.
They just announced a new lineup.
Hmm?
They just announced a new lineup of films, actually.
Did
Anyways, for
When?
another time. Yeah. Like today, I think.
Okay, today? Okay, you need to send me a link.
For another live show.
No, like you need to send me a link in a private message. I need to know about this. Anyway.
All right.
It's been a while. I've been trying to make theories about it. Anyway, okay, my stance. So like I said before, I've always had an obsession with superheroes ever since I could remember. It all started with Larry Boy from VeggieTales. The world needs a hero. I am that hero.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, it all started with that. Okay. It's so funny. There are people that make me like, you're not a real fan of Marvel. If you're not a fan of, if you watch Larry Boy. Oh boy, I need to pick myself up. So yeah, I've always been a fan of superheroes, and he's literally the big reason why. Yeah, Larry was pretty much the big reason why I started getting into superheroes. And then I think I watched the Avengers, like, in the cinemas, but not watched any Marvel films previously, or, like, knew what the Avengers was. And so I remember being so confused in the movie theater. I'm just like, what is this? And then my friend had to explain it to me. And then from then, I started to learn more about superheroes. And eventually, like, if I learn how to write, I want to, like, if I was to ever write a novel, it would be about superheroes, because I love superheroes. I have this world in my head, and I have these characters that I really love, and I'd probably write about a superhero with mental illness, pretty much. So that's what I would probably do. Like, that's something that I've been very passionate about. And so through that, I've gotten so much more passionate about superheroes. Like, it's probably the reason why we're doing a Thor Ragnarok live show after this. So if you're, around, stay tuned for that. But, like, I never saw them as something that could be seen from Nova's perspective, if that makes sense. So she sees prodigies as a bad thing. Being a prodigy, being a superhero, is probably like my dream job, something that I've always dreamed about. I'm like, yeah, if the superheroes were real, I'd always want it. Like, I'd want to be a prodigy. That would be really cool. But to see that being a prodigy and having so much power can be a negative thing if you really do abuse that power. And we saw people abuse that power in this book. I could see the reason why she wants to get rid of them. And not only that, like, the Renegades at the beginning of this book with her tragic backstory, they never came for her. But Ace, her uncle, did. Her uncle Ace looked after her. And the prodigies never showed up for her. And so you could see, like, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why she wants to take out the Renegades. But not even just that. It's the fact that having too much power, she feels like, is corrupting. It's corrupting society. And it's not only that, it's making people feel like, making people that aren't superpowered feel negligent and lazy, because they won't rise up to be the hero. They're waiting for a hero to save them. And the way that she described it is that it really inspired me to personally to learn how to be heroic, and not wait for somebody to like do something else for me, but learn how to be my own hero or learn how to be somebody else's hero for them. And so that's what it really taught me. Although it's a very, like, her stance is very morally gray, that one aspect when she said that actually really did inspire me. So now looking at that, like at my stance before as compared to now, I can see the flaw in both. And so that's what makes me really appreciate this book, and also really appreciate superheroes and anti-heroes and villains, because I can see from their perspective even like in a broader scope now. So yeah.
You know that you mentioned about the reason why Nova became a villain, why she wants to take down Renegades. I feel like that there's a reason why the Renegades never came. I feel like she keeps repeating it. She said they never came, and that's the whole reason why she hates them. And I'm feeling like in the second book, she's going to reveal something, and I feel like they didn't know they were in trouble, and that's why they didn't come. I feel like there's a reason behind the reason they didn't come.
Yeah,
like there's definitely something deeper.
And then
there's something shady going on.
Yes, that's it. That's my stance.
Bless you.
Thank you. Just like
and you said how about we should be our own villains. I love that scene with the little girl at the birthday party.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She says you can be your own hero. I like that. That was sweet.
That was cute. So cute.
Yeah, I really love what this book taught me. That's what I love to get out of a book. I love it to teach me something about life. And so that's kind of why I like reading, for example, William Shakespeare, because he pretty much
is a social commentator.
Yeah, he has flawed characters, but he really does teach you a life lesson through them. And I feel like this book did the same thing. And it's a young adult novel, and sometimes sometimes I just read for fun, but then I love, like, if anything, I think one of the most rewarding things about reading or storytelling is it teaching you a lesson for your real life and taking it out and making you question, how am I going to do things better? How am I going to be a better person? And so this book really did that for me. And so that's why I really love it, guys. I really love it. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm still trying to question what my favorite book is, like, of 2017, but this is, like, close. Like, I don't even know
it is close.
What 2017 is yet. But yeah, it's pretty close one for me. So, like, this isn't even in my plot points, but does anybody, like, ship Nodrian? Because I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of... I feel like it's kind of weird, but, like, I do ship them.
Yeah, I agree. They're cute, but it's almost like Marissa. For me, it's almost like Marissa.
I just feel like they're not going to end up together, so I'm just not getting my hopes up, because the way, like, she's Nightmare and he's the Sentinel, and, like, they're, like, mortal enemies, I guess. So I'm like, it's probably not going to work out. So I'm just not even getting my hopes up.
But, like,
his identity is going to be revealed, and I feel like they will, but I'm not 100%.
Same with her. I feel like it will be revealed at some point.
Yeah.
Her identity as well.
I was expecting.
I mean, it wasn't revealed at the end of this book, and I was actually expecting it to be.
Yeah, me too.
That was going to be the cliffhanger. So a lot of people keep on saying the cliffhanger killed me, but I'm like, it didn't really kill me, because I had expected worse. You know?
Yeah, I was expecting worse.
Yeah.
The ending did surprise me. I'm not gonna lie.
I was expecting.
It did surprise me. I was surprised.
Somewhat. I mean, so I guess the cliffhanger killed me not because I was like, oh, Ace is alive, what's gonna happen? But more like the fact that she didn't get, like, discovered, because that was the thing that, like, I kept going through the book, like, oh, she's gonna get discovered now. It's gonna be now.
Yeah, especially with the thing that happened with Max. I was like, oh my gosh, she is so gonna get discovered. So gonna get discovered. But it didn't happen. So I think
how it's gonna happen, but
I think
well, no, Max can't touch anyone. But I don't know. It's just, like, so interesting that, like, since it's a duology, it's always gonna happen in the next book, because it does have to happen that she's discovered. But I think knowing that she hasn't been discovered yet is almost more of a cliffhanger than if she had like just been discovered, because you still don't know at what point in the next book it's gonna happen, which is like I need to know.
It was a very, oh man, very tough. But then also I think she's gonna find out that Adrian's the Sentinel and everything,
and she's gonna be like, well, you lied to me, so
like
whatever, buddy.
We deserve each other.
You lied to him, so their relationship is based on lies.
Yeah.
I just love them. I love them both as characters. I know that they both have like a dark side to them.
One side, I'll be right back.
But I love them, and like
wait.
I just
before we get into anything else, can we appreciate the fact that we actually had a lot of representation in this book compared to Heartless?
Yes.
Heartless, yeah.
I mean,
we had the gay dads. We had like the savior, the hero of the entire world was a gay man, and I felt like that was just that was awesome. And you know, and the
Filipino.
What?
Apparently, Nova is also half Filipino.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I appreciated the diversity so much, especially compared to like Heartless, where you had all white people, only one gay character, and that was revealed at the very end. It's like a stick in. It's like, I didn't have any representation here.
Yeah.
This was representation from the start, and I feel like that was a really awesome thing. I think she pulled herself back up from the Heartless.
And like very casual representation too.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't like a big deal that Captain Chromium and Dead Warden or whatever, Dread Warden were gay and they were married and they had a son. Like that wasn't a big deal. I mean, they were a big deal, and it was a big deal that they had a son, but only because they were superheroes and they adopted another superhero's child. It wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
It was very casual. I loved it.
There's another thing I want to mention in this discussion, and it's comparing our last book pick of the month to this one, and I don't want to do it, but I kind of have to. I appreciate that this had something that Warcross didn't have, and that was team building. That was actually team building. We were with the team a lot. We got to know the side characters a lot more, and I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that the romance was not over the team building. This book had a perfect balance, and that's what I appreciated about it so much. And so, like, every single time I kept, like, I was turning the page and I was reading about the team, I'm just like, this is what I wish Warcross would have had, you know? And so that's what I mentioned in our previous live show. And so I just find that so ironic that we go straight to a book that has what I wish, like, our previous book of the month had, you know?
Yeah.
I like
even the romance. Even the romance.
Like there wasn't even like a romance, but like even this was so much more. I mean, again, I didn't read Warcross from what you guys were saying, it seemed like that was a very medical reasons. If you're new here, I had medical reasons as to why.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like from what you guys were saying about the relationship, like it seemed very forced and it seemed to like take over her entire life. This felt a lot more natural. This feels a lot more natural than other books I've read. And yeah, I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a build-up, not just they know each other for 10 pages and they kiss. It's not anything like
they
that.
Obviously had
Joey Graceffa.
Looking at you. But yeah, because they had like natural chemistry and like a connection at first, but it wasn't like, okay, let's jump from that to like, I don't know,
boyfriend and girlfriend immediately. Just like
it like
slow build up
slowly throughout the book, which I loved.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about this book, and I loved the team building. There was something I appreciated about that because, like they pretty much are put into like, I don't even know what they're called, like renegade, I don't know, squads or whatever they are.
Squadrons. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. But they're put into those for a reason, and I think that that's very important as well, especially if you're like, you know, you have super abilities and superpowers. It's really cool because you know you can make your own mini event essentially. Who knows?
Yeah, I do think that's that was a cool idea where they had like own separate teams inside of the Renegades team in general.
Yeah.
So like, like one was based on surveillance, another was based on data, another one was based on fighting whoever. So, you could choose people whose powers best fit your interests. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think that was really awesome. And I think seeing from Nova's perspective, even though, because it's so funny because this also has a never parallel to Warcross. Because in Warcross, what's her name again? Emika. Yeah, so she's there.
Emika.
She's that person that is there on a secret mission, and so is Nova. And so that's, I think, the reason why I compared them to, because they're both on secret missions. You get to see the perspective from somebody who is on a secret mission, but then is also trying to balance, trying to act all cool and stuff, but still right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I found to be very interesting. I love those type of stories. I think it's because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., to be honest.
Amazing show.
It's because of
Can we talk about her trial scene, because let's be real, that was iconic.
Yeah.
The paper beats rock line. I was if you check my Goodreads, I just put iconic. Like,
yeah, it was. I loved it.
Nova's an iconic character. Let's be real. Her sass is great.
It was so good. Oh.
I read that during. I was reading it in the middle of science class.
The one thing that I got from it is I felt bad for the kid who was trying out for his 3rd year in a row or something, and he didn't make it again.
Oh yeah.
You guys. I was like, oh, you poor soul. But yeah, she was pretty kicked.
I was reading the trial scene in the middle of science class, and and I just started, when the paper beats rock line came out, I just started laughing, and everyone was looking at me. They're like, "Are you okay?" Like, and all my table mates are like, "What?" And I was like, "This book, it just spurred out the most iconic line I've ever read."
And I guess
A+.
What about the powers? Yeah. Did you guys like those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked Adrian's ability to catch powers. I really liked his.
That was
also
so cool.
That the Max, is it Max? Somebody mentioned it.
Yeah, Max.
Chat.
Yeah, Paul Reeds, who is putting some very interesting points as well.
I really like that he really reminded me of, I'm gonna go back to the X-Men of Rogue, because she kind of has to like distance herself away from people.
I was actually going to make that parallel with Rogue and everything.
And except his is a little more extreme. He literally cannot be in the same room as another person.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. In X-Men 3, that happened. There was this. They were talking about this cure, I guess, and this kid who is a mutant, and he basically drained whoever's powers that was in the room, and they used that for the cure for mutants. And Rogue actually got that cure later on. But yeah, and
but
major parallel.
He never.
It's been so long since I watched the original X-Men trilogy. I think it's because my mind's been tainted by the recent one.
Oh
God.
Apocalypse.
I always go back to the originals.
Like, the first 2 movies were okay, but Apocalypse, disaster.
Okay, it wasn't that bad. I'm gonna say it. It wasn't that bad.
I finally watched it, and I expected it to be really bad, but it wasn't that terrible.
It was one of the most disappointing films I've ever watched. And
okay, I will admit, it was a little disappointing. It wasn't that bad.
For me, it's right behind Insurgent. Insurgent's probably the most disappointing because that was my favorite movie.
That's bad.
Right behind Insurgent. No, it wasn't my favorite.
Me and Grace are gonna fight about it forever.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Let's go back to the book.
Same year.
So, but I must say one thing about like all of the powers is that I was a little bit skeptical going in, because like superheroes are obviously like so mainstream, and like it feels like everything's been done before, but I feel like Marissa Meyer did a really good job of like coming up with new powers, or like powers that are less
Yeah.
mainstream that we've
Because
seen
like
before.
turning into butterflies, sketching things and making them material, and bleeding rubies. Like I've never even heard of that. And
Bleeding.
as a writer, I've come up with some weird powers. I will admit, I come up with some very weird powers, but I've never even thought of like bleeding jewels or turning into butterflies or anything like that. So that was really awesome.
One thing I didn't understand. Remember when Sentinel accidentally burned part of her butterflies and they died or whatever? Does she does it affect her? I felt like it did.
It's because and later in the book it said that she had burns and they wouldn't heal because the butterflies that had left her were destroyed, and the butterflies are part of her material skin.
That's so interesting. That is so interesting. So like
it's so
basically
cool.
her body turned into a bunch of butterflies, and that's just
it's kind of like Sarai from Stranger Things.
Hey, that's exactly what I thought about.
Yeah, but except when they die, nothing happens to her, like the body physically wise. But it was just so interesting. I really liked her ability. I liked Queen Bee too, the fact that she doesn't
she was so cool. I loved her.
She controls. She was so cool. I liked her.
I also love that she was a drama queen. I felt like that fit her persona very well, especially with the scene with. Well, I mean, the scene where like they stormed their tunnels in the middle of the night and they started smashing her honeycombs, and like she was like in her pajamas with like hair curlers, so she wasn't even like anything. She was anything but ready. But like she still, and like it was described as she still stood tall and regal and acted like she was a queen. And I'm like, yes, queen, you go. Like that was so cool. I loved Honey. I wanted more of Honey.
Yeah.
I also just like bees in general, so I want more of that.
Yeah. Her power is so interesting.
A lot of the powers are interesting. Like the guy could create phobias, like phobia and detonator. Well, that was kind of like I'm gonna make another X-Men parallel here. It's kind of like Gambit, but
I agree.
I do like the X-Men, Avengers, and some other like parallels with that. Like I think that was really cool that she was able to incorporate some of that, but like still make it her own.
Yeah. I really appreciated this book because Marissa Meyer did make it her own, because I think you can get very repetitive with superheroes, and that's my biggest fear. Like if I was to ever write a superhero book, I would get very repetitive with like the characters that I see out there like in the comics, because I read a lot of comics and I love the comics. But yeah, I'd be like very scared that I would it would just be something that had been done before. But I really liked that, like how unique this story was and how unique these powers were. So
yeah.
I think let's see. Okay, I think we've already talked about the plots and characters a lot. So superhero tropes. Let's talk about that. Did you guys notice any of those guilty pleasure superhero tropes that were in this book? I don't know. I don't know how to ask questions properly. But yeah.
The double agent trope. I always find a guilty pleasure in that because I'm like, ooh, they don't know, but we know. And I don't know. I'm weird. I'm really weird about that.
And I like that trope because again, it always.
Oh my God, Grace, what'd you just do? Grace, what'd you just do?
I just saw the new lineup. I just opened the message to the new lineup. Anyway,
why'd you tweet this?
Oh no, sorry.
Her Twitter, just like when Jules Reed says X-Men Apocalypse wasn't that bad, and the picture of her holding a knife. Jeez, Grace.
Sorry, I had to. Someone has to use hashtag at one point of the live show, hey?
Okay.
I just got the new lineup. It's known as the Secret Invasion Saga. I'm freaking out. Anyway, I need to get back to Renegades.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. The reason why I'm very excited right now is because I need to pee. So excuse me while I go pee.
Wait, okay, so superhero tropes.
I was trying to think.
I don't know. I didn't notice it.
I think like the ragtag group of team up, like I felt like it was kind of like a ragtag thing.
Yeah,
as
kind
well.
of like we have to prove ourselves to like impress the other groups that are more experienced, or like
Yeah.
impress his dads.
Like the newbie trope as well, like the newbie to the superhero world.
And also that trope of like, I mean, not really a trope, but like that decision-making process of like, do you go in and save people or wait for backup? Or like,
Yeah.
I guess when people's lives are in danger, like, do you go after the bad guy or do you save lives first? Like, where do you draw those lines? And it was interesting to see how the Renegades had actual like policies in place for how they wanted people to
that was cool.
situation.
I did. Sometimes I was like, the rule system, it's not really enforced or followed considering the events. But
True.
it was
cool
pretty cool to see. Like they did have a set of rules because you never see a superhero team ever have like entire like rule book of just things you can and cannot do.
Well, because they're now trying to like be the government, isn't it?
Yeah,
so they're not just heroes. They're being like they're writing laws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I also thought that was interesting as well. Like the fact that the superheroes were in fact the government. I felt like, ooh, where do you draw the line on that? Like, you know, like some superheroes could be more like, yes, charge into battle head on, but other ones would be like, let's plan out first. Like, whoa there. And others are like, can we just stay out of this? So I feel like, you know, like, how does that interact with people?
See, that's the big difference between what you see in a superhero movie and or the superhero comics and this book, because superheroes literally run the world in this book. And for example, I don't want to bring too many movie parallels. Oh, actually, you know what? It's a given because this is a superhero book. Captain America: Civil War or Winter Soldier, when what's her name again? Black Widow. She has to go into the UN and talk about how and try to justify what superheroes do, and then all of a sudden the Sokovia Accords happen. The superheroes have to work in accord with the government and etc. The other way around. But I think that this actually shows you the downside of superheroes doing both jobs. But then also because you'd think from watching Captain America: Civil War, you're the Avengers may as well show the government what they should they should actually show them their job, and they should what they should actually be doing and stuff, because they can't understand from their perspective, and then vice versa. But reading this made me realize, no, that's actually not a good idea at all. And the government was made for a reason, and they were made separately for a reason. And superheroes, yeah, they can work for the government because, that's their job, especially with the Sokovia Accords happening in Captain America: Civil War. They'd have to say, do stuff according to the government. But the government is meant to be separate for a reason. And so I think this book made me appreciate that point so much more.
Yeah, and I think it also having people with superpowers in a place of governance, I think creates a lot, or just way too much power in terms of who can seize power, who has the biggest superpowers that can take control. And also those first 5, they happen to be the first 5, so of course they're in charge. And I really liked about this book is that at first you're kind of maybe not on the main character's side because you're oh wait, you're a villain, what could be so bad about having superheroes? But then it's revealed to you throughout the book how that government works, and you're actually this probably isn't the best idea to set up the government this way. So, and even the Renegades, the top 5 themselves don't necessarily want that power. They seem kind of indifferent, oh, this is the way things have to be, we're taking it because no one else wants it, which probably isn't true. So it'll be interesting to see how they work that out in the next book.
A commenter, before I get into that, commenter made a good point. He said, does anyone else think that Ace is behind Nightmare's parents and Sentinel's mom's demise? That seems a bit of a trope.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
A good theory.
I don't know.
It's a really
I
good
feel like
Actually,
I
I think that will be the turning point in Nova's character development. Like, if she was to revolt against him, because I honestly don't know who's going to win in the end. This book has given me so much anxiety. The series has given me so much anxiety to the point that I just don't even know who to root for anymore. I don't know whether Nova should be good. I don't know whether the other side should see from the anarchist perspective. I don't know, but I think that that's really awesome and a really good theory, actually.
Yeah. Like, I feel like it would be kind of tropey for Ace to be behind, like, all of those deaths. But I also feel like that's where it's going to go, because, like, this is why
I feel like it's going to be at least, I don't know, because I feel like,
maybe not directly, but definitely involved in some way.
I feel like maybe it'll be the parents. I don't think it'll be Lady Indomitable, because I feel like that might be someone else, because Detonator was being really suspicious about that. So maybe I low-key feel like one of the superheroes killed her, but that's just my personal opinion. But I feel like Ace is behind her parents' death because, like, he showed up so quickly, and I was like, how else?
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's a leader of a terrorist group, so he knows what's going on, but, like, still.
Yeah.
I think he's partly, I think he could be behind the reason why the Renegades never showed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he caused, like, a bigger distraction.
He
like,
did.
Somewhere they're like, ooh.
Late.
What?
He came in late. He came in later after they were killed.
Yeah.
But it was through the Renegades.
From the other side. And so that's why he came in late, and he made sure that she was doing okay. Like, what's her name again? Nova. He was making sure that Nova was doing okay. He planned the assassination as he was distracting the Renegades.
But the other thing is, why would he want them assassinated? Like, he needs a motive of some sort.
I think, is the reason. I think that's what we're going to find out in... Maybe it's because that he didn't want Nova to become a renegade.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's great lengths to go when she's, like, 5.
Because they might have been believers.
Yeah, like 6. Someone else said, I think Ace killed Lady Indomitable through phobia. As a result, she never showed up to save Nova's family.
Yeah, I could see, like, Ace being indirectly involved, like, fighting Lady Phobia, and then because they're, or, like, not Lady Phobia, what?
Indomitable.
Like, fighting the Renegades, yeah. And, like, that delaying them from saving them. But also, the other thing, when Jules was talking, this popped up. How old is Max? Or, like, could Max be
Max
the
is,
reason
like,
why?
10.
Yeah. So he was a baby. Could he be the, like, thing that was used to make Lady Indomitable not be able to, like, suddenly fly anymore? Or something like that? Because she fell from a building.
Good point, actually.
Yeah, because he was used in stopping Ace in general.
Yeah.
So that could be a possibility.
Like where he was.
And like and then Max was like, "Dude, you just flew. Are you okay?" And then he was also levitating, so maybe it was a combination of telekinesis and flight.
Hold on. Do you think it's possible that she was maybe getting not turning her back on the Renegades, but she was trying to dissolve them for maybe she saw what they were going to become? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
And use Max in order to kill her?
Yeah.
Because I feel I don't know, I feel like the superheroes are like really shady about her death.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh, we don't want to talk about it, but you know, it's like 10 years later. Like I think you should be able to at least talk about it because everyone knows about it. So I feel like it should be able to talk about it, but they're like, no, we're not bringing this up. No.
It feels like you're watching. I never parallel. I feel like it feels like you're watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, where Coulson keeps on saying that's classified, and you get so frustrated, like as much as we love it now that he said that's classified. But like you get so frustrated. I recently rewatched it with my mom because she's starting it, and I only just recently remembered how frustrated I was at him because he couldn't, like, he didn't tell, what was her name? Daisy, whatever her name is, like everything.
Sky.
Sky. he couldn't tell her everything, and I got so mad at that. And then this book kind of like reminded me of that. I'm like, dang, like Nova should know these things. It's been ages since this happened, and like it's
yeah, like when she asked about like killing or like where Ace's helmet is, like that should, since she's a renegade, she should know. Like that shouldn't be classified information to the renegades. They should know that in case like something's raided and they're like, oh shoot, the helmet.
Yes and
Yeah.
no. I mean, yes and no, because their intake process is like so insecure that I would definitely have levels of security if like you're just letting anyone who has powers and like passes a written exam into your organization with like tap access and everything. I still think that's a horrible system for like intake of it's so stupid. Why would you do that? But
yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know. So
I would have liked more security considering they were like a high-end thing.
Yeah.
I felt like it was very like there were no like they were just like, yeah, this interrogation is going to be recorded, but no one noticed like the puppeteer be like glancing to Nova the entire time. He was like, no, and he glanced to her and no read. Like
that scene
that made me cringe. That made me cringe so much.
I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't know whether I want them to find out or not, and it's just, oh man. But yeah, the puppeteer was very smart about it though.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we don't have too much time until our next live show, meaning the Thor Ragnarok live show. Was there any like other predictions you want to quickly mention before we conclude?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like either Lady Indomitables going to be back or her parents are going to be back from the dead. I don't know which one. Because kid, he was like, yeah. I know. I feel like it might be Lady Indomitable comes back and she's like, haha. I can tell you who killed me.
Her body though?
What?
Didn't they find her body?
Didn't they find Ace's body?
No.
No, Lady Indomitable's body.
Yeah.
They found her body. She's dead.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Wasn't Ace's body found? I don't know. I don't remember. Wasn't Ace's body found as well? Because, like...
No, it wasn't. It was revealed in the... Remember, she was asking about the painting in the Dread War and told her they never found his body? He admitted it. But it was a secret. It was a secret to keep the public, like, not know that they haven't found his body.
Yeah. Classic YA trope. If you don't have a body, they're not dead.
Yeah.
Never fails.
Nobody. Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite shows. I don't know if you know it. It's Psych on the USA Network. It used to be there. So there was a saying. There's a saying in the show. It's just saying, no body, no crime. So I always make that parallel because it's about a forensics team and police station solving murders, and it's a great show. You should watch it. It's hilarious. They're coming out with a movie. The movie's coming out on Thursday. I can't wait.
Yeah. So I guess we're gonna have to conclude, only because we've got a live show next, and not only that, we have to share some information about where we're heading during holiday time. So next month, we are not doing a Biblio Squad live show because we are all technically not available during the times that we could do one. So next month, we're going to be taking a break. So if you guys need that break over the holiday period as well, enjoy it, soak it up, do as much as you can, have so much fun. So that means that Before She Ignites, which was the original book that we were going to be reading, is not going to be a Biblio Squad book pick of the month. We will be doing a January live show. We'll be back for January. We'll notify you guys what our January book pick of the month is as it comes closer, because we're still deciding between a couple of titles at the moment. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. I'm not too sure if you guys got my message, right? About a couple of titles.
Yeah.
No. Maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Either way, like they're coming out in January and stuff. There are a couple of really good ones coming out in January, and so yeah. And Before She Ignites is not being published in Australia, so that makes it even harder because I can't even.
Is it not being published at all, or is it being published later?
It's just it doesn't have an Australian release date. No.
Really? That's so odd. Okay.
I know it's very odd. They don't share every book with us, like, so it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also publication budgets and stuff, but yeah, it depends on how successful the book is as well. So, but yeah, so I guess that's gonna be it. Is there anything else I need to announce? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna conclude. I just want to say a big thank you to you guys for joining us, and thanks to the rest of the BIBLIO Squad crew. You guys, like, oh my goodness, great discussion today. I'm so hyped up about the sequel now. It's gonna be so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this was one of our better live shows.
I think that this was good. Yeah, I think that it was awesome. Although, like, I've literally had to skip past a couple of points because we were just having fun. I think that's what matters. And so, yeah. What matters is that you guys also had fun as well. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it for the live show today, guys. And we will see you next time. And if you're joining us for our Thor Ragnarok live show, it will be on a different link. So just stay tuned on my channel and you'll see when we start our live show. Anyway, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.